Alright, so last time we streamed, we were playing on keyboard and mouse. We played for about 2 hours. Worked out pretty good, no complaints there. However, we are now trying controller. I'm using my Cyberpunk 2077 controller, very fitting. I've had this bad boy for a hot minute since they released that limited edition Xbox One that came with this controller. And it's gorgeous, obviously, so I'm going to be playing with that, but I feel like this game probably is better with a controller anyway. As soon as you plug in an Xbox One controller, it automatically registered it, so I didn't need to map anything. You now use the bumpers to transit the menu. You use the right stick. Here's my graphic settings, again, all high and ultra. I have a 2060 Super. It's not the best thing on the market, but I mean, it's certainly a mid to high-end graphics card. I'm able to run ultra settings and get a pretty consistent, what looks like 60 frames per second. There is no frame counter or anything like that that I can turn on, which is kind of unfortunate. We're going to get used to using this controller here. So if you want to see the control scheme for a controller, it's pretty much what you would think, you know, like B for crouch, A for jump, X for reload and interact, Y for switching weapons. You know, it's pretty similar to most shooters, even though this isn't a shooter. It's an RPG with some shooting in it, not a shooting game with some RPG in it. That's why I think a controller is better for this game, because there's driving in it, and driving with a keyboard and mouse is absolutely ass. It's not very shooter driven. There is some shooting in it, but honestly, I think a controller will work just fine considering it is an RPG. And it just seems like a lot of the key maps and binds are kind of optimized for a controller. I was thinking that to myself yesterday when I was streaming with the keyboard and mouse. Like, a lot of these binds would be just more convenient on a controller. So we're going to give it a try, boys, and see what we think. So picking up with our Dirty Nomad playthrough. So we need to meet up with our homeboy Jackie. Our best friend, pretty much our only friend here in Night City.
Hey V, Regina Jones.
So again, just answering my cell phone, just a down on the D-pad, very easy.
How'd you find me?
So the sensitivity feels a little bit slow on the controller. You can't mess with that. They have a shitload of settings for controller for aim assist and a bunch of other things. So I do want to cover that real quick. There is obviously aim assist for the controller. And by default, it's on a pretty, what appears to be a pretty intrusive mode. So you have standard here, you have off, light, and standard. And standard actually has a snap to target mode. So if you're near a target and you hold down the left trigger, it'll automatically snap you to it, kind of like an auto aim, but you have to be in the general vicinity of the character that you're trying to shoot at. I guess since it's not competitive multiplayer, it doesn't really matter if you have aim assist on or not. It's a story-driven RPG, so it's not like cheating or anything. So let's see if we can talk to all these NPCs. I know it's something the game prides itself on, is having, you know, interactive chats with each and every NPC in the game. Some of them just have little one-liners that they'll repeat over and over, but, you know, some of them might have multiple things to say. Alright, so that guy just walked through that guy. Not a huge deal, but, you know, not the most polished product in the world.
Hey, friend. What do I say?
The graphics look insane. I do have it on ultra settings, ray tracing off, DLSS off, but ultra everything. And obviously the stream is in 1080p. However, I'm looking at this in 1440.
Hey, what's up?
And it looks pretty... What the fuck? Alright, there we go. That's what you like to see. Floating into each other. Also, no body shaming here or anything, but I don't think this chick here should be rocking that floss there. She should just stick to flossing right before bed. Not the prettiest thing to look at, boys. Let's move on from this. So, unlike the keyboard, which is, you know, full throttle or full turning, you can actually just barely press the stick or barely press the gas, and you have that, like, fine control. So, driving is definitely a lot more enjoyable like this. So, apparently there's reports that this game is giving people, who the hell's shooting at me? Why is somebody shooting at me right now? Who? What the fuck? So I've heard this happens. You'll just be minding your own business, walking through the street, and then all of a sudden you get attacked, like, out of nowhere. I don't know if it's a glitch, or if these guys just automatically attack you, or what. Okay, I see how that snap-on works. If you're in the same general vicinity as your target, and you press left trigger, it will kind of snap to them, but you have to be, like, at least aiming towards them. So it's not like super intrusive or anything. Was that a brown bag lunch or something? I'll take it all. I want the apple cores, the used condom, the shoelaces, whatever you're dropping here. I want it. Give me all that dank loot. Alrighty guys, so I will say that the shooting does feel better with a keyboard and mouse. That should be pretty evident because instead of a 1-inch maneuverability range, you have about 6 to 8 inches depending on your playstyle and your DPS and how big your mouse pad is and how much desk space you have and all that other stuff. But considering this game is, has shooting mechanics in it, but a lot of its RPG aspects, we're going to be crafting, driving, doing a whole bunch of other stuff that doesn't involve shooting. I do feel like the controller is a good option. Now, what I recommend, what I'm probably going to do, is leave my controller plugged into my tower and then just use keyboard and mouse for the majority of the game. And then whenever I hop in a vehicle, just grab the controller and start playing with that and, go back to keyboard and mouse when I get out of the vehicle. It doesn't take that long to switch over, and I do like that this game is not like one of the ones like Black Ops Cold War, where you have to specifically set that you're using a keyboard and mouse or a controller, and it deactivates the other one. You have to go into the settings to make the other one register. This one, you could literally be like running with the WSAD keys on your keyboard and using the right analog stick in your controller to look around, or running with the left stick on your controller and using the mouse to look around. It registers both inputs at the same time, which is pretty goddamn cool. So that's probably what I'm going to do, because the shooting does feel a lot more responsive and accurate with a keyboard and mouse. Obviously, ask me 2 years ago when I was strictly on console and hadn't built my first gaming PC and gotten efficient and decent with keyboard and mouse, and I probably would say otherwise. The snap aiming works pretty good. You have to be really close to the character model you're trying to shoot at for it to actually activate and snap you over. The aim assist didn't really seem intrusive. In fact, it actually felt kind of weak. Maybe that was just because the firefight I was in, the people were very fast moving and stuff like that. They were those tweaker guys that are all hopped up on cybernetics and inhalers and shit. So maybe it was just hard for me to track with the controller, but the shooting wasn't too enjoyable with the controller, even with the aim assist and the snap aim on. So yeah, that's my opinion, guys. I would just say plug in an Xbox controller or PC compatible controller, which pretty much any controller is PC compatible. If you're running Steam Big Picture, it'll just install the drivers for you and whatnot. And I do have a tutorial on how to get any controller working on Steam Big Picture. But yeah, I would just say play with the controller when you're doing driving. And, if you want to, I would recommend just trying out playing everything keyboard and mouse and then playing everything with controller. That's what I did. I played for about 2 hours with keyboard and mouse and 2 hours with just controller, getting used to how the game will run. And, my opinion is that I think it's best just to divide them. Yeah. So that's going to do it, guys. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.